What's up everyone, this is Justin from Make Supply, and in this video tutorial we'll be making a leather flap wallet. If you'd like to purchase this template, it's available for instant digital download at the Make Supply shop or the Make Supply Etsy store. If you do not wish to purchase the template at this time, I invite you to just follow along the build process. Thanks.
Okay, inventory. So it's pretty much the standard cast of characters as all the other videos I do. The template printed out on an 8.5 by 11 110 pound cardstock from Staples, and this template has 2 pieces. Number 2 X-Acto knife, craft tool 3mm, diamond stitching chisel, 4-prong, 2-prong, cork back roller, CNC Osborne scratch awl, Goja Japan edge beveler, wing divider for marking stitching groove, wood slicker for burnishing, rubber cement, a little cup of water, some saddle soap for burnishing, 2 pieces of sandpaper. This is a 120 grit and I think a 400 grit. The thread we'll be using is main thread. This is what does it say in here? This is natural main thread in the .035 size. Block of the Leathercraft wax with 2 Tandy stitching needles, and the leather we're going to use is this is called Q-Tan Light Bridle from Thoroughbred Leather. So, and this is 3 to 4 ounce. So after I did a video recently, reviewing the natural and walnut veg tan from Thoroughbred, and I liked it, so I thought I would go ahead and buy some more leathers. So I bought this Q-Tan, and I bought a black version as well. It's pretty nice. This will be my first time working with it. So again, that's a 3 to 4 ounce. If you have anything up to probably 4 to 5 would be okay for this project. Anything heavier than that, it's getting a little thick. So we will come back and get started. Alright, so let's look at the template. So this template is a 1-pager and it comes with 2 pieces. It has the main body piece and the strap. So you also notice there's 4 markings on the main body piece. So when we put it on the leather and trace it, we're going to put a mark through these 4 holes. So then when these are the meeting points for the ends of the leather, when we fold it, it just makes it easier for you to find, to line it up so it's straight when you fold it together. So go ahead and cut out these 2 pieces. Just be careful with the curved sections. Obviously there's a curved section here, curved sections on this, and then this strap is actually, these 2 long pieces are actually slightly curved, so just to give it a little bit more of a non-sterile feel to the design. So just be careful cutting these out, keep it as accurate as possible, and then we'll come back and we'll trace it onto the leather. Okay, so I just went ahead and cut out the 2 pieces. Now trace it onto our leather. Obviously I already cut this little piece out, so I know that this fits on here okay. Trace both of these on here. Don't forget to mark your 4 holes. Just punch right through with your scratch awl, and then we will be ready to cut it out. Now this piece. This one's a little bit harder because you gotta maneuver around your fingers. Okay, so I went ahead and traced both pieces, and in our next step we will cut them out. Okay, time to cut it out. So, as usual, I will always use a straight edge on straight sections, and then obviously the curved sections you have to freehand. If you have trouble cutting curves, make sure your blade is sharpened, or you have a fresh blade if it's replaceable. And just take light strokes until you get it done. So let's do this now. As you can see, just for that one curve, I took very light strokes, and it took me like 8 times just for how light I was holding that. But it gives me a very nice and accurate cut. So I'll take that over, you know, a bad looking curve. Okay, so there's the body portion cut out. See this shape that we're going for here? A little bit like that. And the other piece. And the other part. Okay, so cut out both your pieces, and now we are ready to finish the edges of the parts that won't be accessible once we put it together, which will be this inside curve, the edge of this, and the two long edges of the strap. And might as well do the top part here, even though we could still get to that even when it's put together. So we will do that in the next step. So for burnishing, I'm just going to be using a little bit of water and a little bit of saddle soap. If you don't have saddle soap, you can just use water. If you're not burnishing, if you're using edge paint or something, just use the edge paint in the place of burnishing on all these parts. So let's get this going. Wood slicker, a little bit of water, a little bit of saddle soap. Find that with the bridles or any of these finished leathers that it actually works better with less saddle soap as compared to the water. So you really don't even need too much saddle soap, and it seems to burnish a lot quicker. Can't see this, but there's a staircase right outside this window here, and there's a squirrel sitting right on the step and watching me work. I hope he's impressed. You like this? Okay, so I just burnished the two long edges of the strap, so now I'll move on to the curved section of the card slot, or of the flat bot. I'm going to leave the top part until we burnish the sides when everything's put together. So for right now, I'm going to stop, and then we'll move on and then get that later. So we're done with that. I'm going to use a little bit of the Leathercraft wax just to throw on the edge here, seal it up. Okay, so at this point we are done burnishing the parts that won't be accessed, and in the next step we will first get more coffee, and then we will fold this thing up, get it glued, and continue on. Okay, so to ensure when we fold this thing up that we have it even, we're going to push our scratch awl through the markings that we made when we traced the template. So those 4 little holes. I'm just going to take the scratch awl and go straight through. Okay, so now when we fold this up, we can, line those 2 holes up. Those are going to be stitching holes, so you won't even see the mark that you made there. First, I'm going to draw a light stitch groove for the wound divider. I just find it's easier when it's flat like this, so you can wait to the next step if you wish. Okay, so I'm going to take it from the hole down. You can go all the way if you want, but I'm just going to go down to, where I think my last stitch will be. So somewhere around right here. So I'm just going to go from here to here. And the same on this side. Okay, so now that we have our stitch line marked, I'm going to glue this thing up. I'm going to use rubber cement. You can use whatever you got. Okay. Let this... Oh no. Look at that. Got rubber cement all over the front. Oh no. Looks like it's coming off. That's why you gotta pay attention. Huge stain. Well, we're gonna keep going. So I don't even know where that came from. Anyways, let's continue on. We will not be dismayed. Alright, so fold up your wallet and match up your 2 holes. And I didn't put these in the inventory, but we have to use them for this project. These are just clips, you can use any kind of clip that you have. These are just little binder clips to hold it down while the glue dries. So I'll usually tack the top sides down first and then work my way down. I can't believe I did that. Oh my god. All I'm doing is using the end of the awl to see where the holes align. Okay, so now that I have the top parts down, I'll just lay this flat and kind of work it. And then add some more clips. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry for a minute. And then we'll come back, we'll mark hand pressure some stitching holes, and then we'll address the placement of the strap. Okay, so I gave that a minute to dry, and now we will mark our holes. Actually, I'm going to leave that last one on, just because there's a lot of, pressure at this fold here where this wants to come undone, so I'll just leave those while we start the beginning. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, I know that not everyone's using the same size tools as I am, the same size. Like if you're using a stitching wheel or a different size chisel or something like that, the measurements will be slightly different. So I'm going to keep this part a little bit vague. So what you're going to do is start with the hole that we marked as your first hole, and then go down the side until somewhere near the end. You don't want it to be directly on the edge there, but somewhere close to where you feel comfortable down towards that fold there. I usually do it around 1/8 from the end. So let's do that now. I'm just going to take off the one. And then lightly with hand pressure, just mark my holes. Okay, and as you can see there's still, let me see if I can get this on the camera, still a bit of space there. You don't want to go directly towards right on that fold. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So then I also mark the same amount on that side. So now I'm going to determine the placement of this strap. Again, since we all might not be using the same amount of stitching distance, there'll be a general area of where you should put this, and you can kind of fit it in where you want. So first I'm going to do a stitching margin on the edges here. And then I'm going to take these off and kind of work this in around here. So I'm using the 3mm spacing, and I go down past the 6th hole. So I go 6, and then this is where I start this strap. So I know that on both sides. 6 holes, and then I start the strap. So it's about somewhere around right there. That looks to be about so that's about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. And I'll kind of just wiggle it in there and make sure it looks good. So then when this folds, that'll go in there. Okay, so I know where I'm going to put it, right after the 6th hole. And now I'm going to take a little bit of rubber cement and try not to ruin more of my project by being an idiot. Okay, just a little bit on the ends there, and I'll probably just throw a little bit on here too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. And then you kind of want to just even it out between the holes. That's another reason why I like to do the hand pressure first, because I can have a nice accurate measurement of where I'm putting this based on where the holes are. Okay. So now I'm going to hold this down for a sec and then put these little clips back on. And just for good measure, I'll put some back on the top there. Okay, so at this point I'm going to let this dry for a minute, and then when we come back, I'm just going to mark again with hand pressure over just to get where our holes will be on top of the strap, and then we will punch through and get ready for stitching. Okay, so for this step we're just going to mark, make sure we're good with marking our holes on top of this, so when we punch we know where we're going, and then we will be ready to punch the holes. So I'm kind of just lining this up with the holes that are previously there, and then adding them to this next layer up here. Looks good. Cool. So as you can see here, we're ready to punch all these holes. So I'm going to go off camera and punch all these holes through, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I went ahead and punched those holes through. Something I didn't mention before I left, that you want to do one hole past the lip there. So here's where your first hole was. You would move this up one, and then make sure you punch one up here too. So let me take this off. There's all of our holes. So now it's time to stitch. I'm going to again go off camera to stitch. If you need help saddle stitching, I have a full saddle stitching tutorial. It's linked below this video in the blog post. Or if you're watching this just on YouTube, you can go to the Make Supply website and find that. So again, I'm going to be using this main thread, and I'm going to start at the first hole on there, go back one, and then come back and stitch to the end. And I'm going to do that on both sides, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I just finished stitching. So again, from this side, I started at the first hole, went back one, stitched all the way back, back stitched twice, turned it over, started from that second hole, sorry, the second one from the back, went back twice just to match up with the amount of back stitching that's on this one, and then stitched this way and then back stitched twice. And that's the end result. So now you can kind of see how this works. That's how your flap wallet will work. So now we have to go ahead and finish these edges. Okay, so to start, I'm going to take this 120 grit sandpaper and do like some rough sanding. This is going to, help square it up a little bit. It's going to remove any of the excess adhesive that's on this edge, which will interfere with burnishing. Okay, on the other side. Cool. And I'll do a little bit on this part here too. A little bit more gentle, obviously, because there's only one layer. You don't want to bend it or mess anything up. Just a light little burnish, or a light little sand, sorry. Cool. So now I'm going to take a little bit of water, very light amount, and just put it on that edge. Same on this side. Just to put a tiny bit of moisture on there. And then I'm going to damp sand using the higher grit sandpaper. You can use the 120 or whatever you have. You can use the same grit, it doesn't matter. And now I'm going to sand, but I'm going to do it all in one direction, just to kind of push all these fibers down evenly. You can see, let me just finish up over here and then I'll show it on a closer view on the camera. So again, you can do it on this flat part too, just very light pressure. So as you can kind of see, that it even starts to burnish the edge a little bit. Okay, so now I did that. Get this out of the way. Now you would want to take your edge groover. Mine's a little dull on this. And then you can take off your edges here. It's a little tricky with this piece here. You got to really be careful. Okay, and then the same on the back. Cool. So I went ahead and took the edges, the sharp edge off of both sides. Now I will bring out my saddle soap, get my water, and dampen that edge. Okay. Wood slicker, and then just start going to town. Again, if you're using chrome tan or you're just using edge paint, replace the burnishing process with painting. So you can still sand the way we did in the previous two steps. And then you would just paint at this point. Okay. I might take a little bit of water and just do. Whoa. Cool. So stop there for that. And now we have some burnished edges. And I'm getting water everywhere. So now I'm going to take my wax, rub it on those edges, a little bit more gentle on the single flap. And then just lightly go over it again. You don't need a lot of pressure when doing the wax part, you just want to kind of spread it on the edge there. Cool. So I'm going to let this sit for a second and I'm going to go grab some cash and some cards and we can stick it in here and see what our final product looks like. Alright. Alright, so I've let that sit for a couple minutes, and you can see our final product here. And it folds under here. Sometimes the strap's a little tight at first, but as you use it, it'll loosen up nice. There, and then this is how you can, it's a pretty oversized compartment, so you can throw folded cash, as long as you fold it better than I am here, and then some cards. It can fit a lot of cards in there. That's only 3 and some folded cash. And there you go. Got a little flap wallet. So that will conclude the build along tutorial for this flap wallet. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments of the YouTube video, leave them in the comments of the blog post. You can email me directly. You can email me on Facebook. Whatever works for you. Thanks for watching.